Hi everyone, it's Anna Haferman and I've gotten myself an LK150. I've done most of my videos so far on the Brother KX350, but I managed to find this beautiful LK150 that had been barely used, so I couldn't help myself and I bought it. So I've been doing some things on it, and one thing that immediately popped out to me was it only came with two needle selectors. Recently, in my Facebook feed, I've been getting ads for this, and this is a contour gauge which you use if you are measuring for tile. You would measure around a corner, sort of like this. This is how it works if you were using it the way it's meant to be used. You push it so that it measures the contour or something, and then you put it on your tile or laminate or whatever that you're cutting out and trace around it. I don't have any use for that because I don't do a lot of tile laying. But it occurred to me that this looks very much like a needle selector, one of the older adjustable needle selector tools that are so hard to find. And I thought, well, maybe it would work for my knitting machine. And it actually does. So the way it works is these little slats slide back and forth, and you can have four this way and four that way, then four this way, etc. And you can make a needle selection tool. Now, it's not gauged exactly perfect, but because the LK150 has these rollers, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Now, I have tried this on the KX350 and it really doesn't work. So suppose I want to make a 1-3 needle selector. First thing I would do is flatten out my gauge thing on a flat surface so it's straight across. And then I'm going to select, so suppose I was going to do 1-3, I'm going to go 1, leave 3 out, 1, 1, 1, 1, etc. So select the pattern by hand so that I can make a copy of it. And make it at least as long as the gauge. So now take the needles with the longer portion, not needles, whatever they are. They're little, I don't know what they would call it, leaves, I guess they're called. So you push like this. Okay, so now I've got it started here. See how these are coming out? I'm just going to pull these with my fingers and try to get it as close to the gauge as possible. It's not perfect because it's not a 6-point. These are not spaced as a 6.5 millimeter machine would be, but as you can see, it's pretty close. And then you have to mess with it a little, so, and then test. So I'm got my needles out, and you just need to play with it a little bit, get it in the proper way, and then you test it to see how well it's working. So even everything out. There we go. And now I'm going to select, I'll push all the needles back and see how well it works to select what I wanted to select. It's best if you push everything flat. So now I'm going to try to select the groups of 3. And so I'll line it up and see how it does. And that worked pretty well. Let me show you that again closer to the middle. So I'm going to select the groups of 3 and just push like that. And you can see I've selected groups of 3. Now I'm going to go back and see how well it selects the groups of 1 using this side. And that one's a little big, so I'm going to push that one back. So I only get 1 needle. Try it again, see how well it goes. There we go. So let's see, here it is, closer to the middle. And then if you're doing a pattern, you can push back like that and select your other needles, your alternate needles. If you were doing, say, a tuck that's selected alternately. Let's see how it does. And one thing is that you can see how this one likes to sort of fall down, and every once in a while you'll hit it so you get something like that. But a solution to that is something long and skinny that fits in that in one of these slots. And what I found that worked really well, which a lot of you may have, is this ruler that came with the Brother knit leader. Fits right in the slot there, almost like it was made for it. So, but if you anything you had that was long enough and flat enough and stiff enough would work. It's not perfect. It does work though. Now, you can also do if you wanted to do an irregular pattern, like, you know, say 1 in work, 5 out of work, 1 in work, you know, like that, and then 5, and then 5 here. I mean, you could do anything that you needed to repeat that you may not have something like this for. And, you know, a lot of times there are, like, something like a 2-2 would be really useful, but this pattern isn't something you're going to find, and, but if you wanted to use it, this would make your selecting go a lot faster. So, where were we? And like I said, it doesn't work out perfectly, but it works pretty well enough, I think, that it's worth a shot for a $10 tool that that has, you know, the capability of, so let's see how I'm going to do this. The capability to do this may not go all the way there. So let's try. We have to go with the long end to select. This is the hard part. It's just getting the getting your initial. That one actually worked pretty well. So push that out, and then you're going to want to push a few here. And generally, it's 4 equals 1 roller. But to get the spacing right, sometimes you need to have 5. It just depends how it. So let's see how that comes out. I can tell that's tight. Okay, so there's my initial gauge. And let's see how it goes. I have found that putting the little shorter ends down seems to sort of hug the needles. And see there, I've got it. The pattern I've been playing around with lately is a 1-2 spacing mock rib, and I don't have a tool for that, so I'm going to make one. So I'm going to pull out every 3rd needle, which is not the spacing I have on this. It's just not. So, and I'll pull out every third one as wide as the contour gauge. And then I'll take the long edge and start trying to form it. And if I push on it, some of them will go through easily, and then I have to kind of help the rest along. So that's pretty easy to do. Okay, so here's my mock-up. Pull that all, and I want to test it to see how well it's going to do. And so I want to test it both ways. I want to see if it'll pull out the groups of 2, which it did. And then I want to see if it'll pull out the groups of 1 as well. I don't have it lined up perfectly yet. And that's why we need the ruler, because those slide down like that. But while you're checking it, you want to so let's try that again. And that did pretty well. So then I'll test it again to make sure I'm getting the right. And you see here, it wants to pull that middle one out if I'm in the wrong place. So I may want to just do one more here. And try it again. And that's pretty good. But now I want to also go back and check if it does it, if it works the other way. And that works pretty well. So then I'll just take my ruler and lock it into place, and then start my pattern. So now I'm going to demonstrate my new tool, and this is going to be a tuck mock rib. So I'm going to put everything in hold. My carriage is in hold. I'm going to put every third needle into hold. So I'm going to pull it out with my tool. Knit 1 row. Then I'm going to put the needles in hold in work and the opposite needles to hold. So basically I'm going to use this to push back to upper work. And then I'm going to pull out the groups of 2 and see how that goes. You do need to hold it back, like you do with any needle selector. It's a little heavier, and then you knit another row, and then push the ones in hold back to upper work. Select the opposite ones. And knit a row, the ones in hold, go to upper work, the ones in work go to hold. This isn't as awkward as it looks, it's just that I'm off to the side, so it's a little harder. It is obviously heavier than a normal needle selector, but once you get used to it, it's not super heavy, and it's wider than most needle selectors, so you can do a wider bunch. You do have to make sure you line it up correctly to begin with. Row. So this tool I got at Lowe's. They have them on Amazon. I'll put a link to the ones on Amazon that will work. They're you really, there's two different types of contour gauges that I found, and you know, pretty much on all the internet. One is metal, and it is a little more precision, but because it's metal, I think you would really risk scratching up the needle bed. So as you can see, it's working pretty nicely. You do get better at it as you go along, just like anything else. It seems to me, because I have to hold the knitting back, that the best way to hold it is with my hand like that. And you do need to eyeball it and make sure you're in the right place before you select. And you have no guide pin like a lot of the needle selectors have, so it's not quite as accurate. But it works. It's better than, easier and faster than selecting by hand. And just another option of something you can do. So if you enjoy my videos, you are encouraged to like and subscribe and make comments or ask questions. I love questions. So I'm going to do a few more rows and then just show you what this pattern looks like. And you'll notice that we're tucking 2 in a row, which I never thought was possible. But I found this pattern in one of the old manuals for the Knit King or Knitax type machine, and I'm going to knit it up and show you what it looks like. So here's what this rib looks like. It's on this side it looks like ribbing, and on this side it looks like tuck. So it's a way to do something that looks like ribbing that maybe isn't quite ribbing.